From SF Land, this is Dorking Out, a podcast for people who love to dork out about movies, TV, and everything pop culture.
Welcome to Dorking Out. My name is Sonia Mansfield, and joining me is my podcasting sister from another mister and the co-host of Dorking Out, Margo D. Hello, my friend.
Hey, my friend.
But wait, you guys, there's more. Also joining us is one of our favorite film writers and podcasters, Adam Riske from F This Movie. Hello, my other friend.
Hi.
We are.
How are you?
I am great. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
Adam reached out to us because he really wanted to talk about Father of the Bride from 1991. So we are talking about Father of the Bride from 1991 that stars Steve Martin and Diane Keaton, Kimberly Williams, Kieran Culkin, and Martin Short. And Adam, why did you want to talk about Father of the Bride so bad?
Because it's a movie that I saw against my will when I was 9. And then, because I remember it came out it was the holiday season of 91. And that, if you look back, that was a heavy hitting holiday season. You had Hook, you had The Last Boy Scout, you had The Addams Family, there was Beauty and the Beast, An American Tail, 5 Goes West, My Girl. It was loaded.
And then but then your family took you to see Bugsy and JFK instead.
I wish. No, so we went to see Father of the Bride, and I just wasn't having any of it. I didn't want to see it. And I walked out of the theater at one point during the movie, and I remember I was like walking into other theaters and like peeking. And then I apparently lost track of time, and I was gone for about 20 minutes. And then my dad had to come out of Father of the Bride, and he's like, "Where's Adam?" And he caught me peeking into Hook, and he was just like, "Get in here." And I was just like, I forgot what movie we were seeing. That was my 9-year-old project. So, but ever since then, I've rewatched Father of the Bride, whether it's on VHS or on cable, probably like 30 times.
Oh my gosh.
And I find it very fascinating and very watchable and very weird.
I also saw this one in the theater, but I was a little older than you. And I remember thinking, my mom will really love this movie.
Right.
And she does. But I love Steve Martin so much. And he had come off like Parenthood and LA Story before this. So I was down for anything that had Steve Martin. And then I saw this. And I don't know if this movie was really made for me, but what did you think of it, Margo?
So I missed it the first time. I didn't see it in the movie theater, and I didn't care about it. And then in the mid-90s, like 94, I think it was, I had a friend that we worked together at a shoe store, and she got engaged, and she asked me to be her bridesmaid. And I'm like, sure, like, of course, because you don't say no to that.
No.
Not understanding.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, you can't. And not here. It was me and another friend there, and all of her family was on the East Coast, and they were going to get married on the West Coast, where we were in California. And like, we didn't understand we were supposed to throw her showers and things like that because we were really young and broke. Like I didn't, But she would constantly quote this movie, and she bought the movie, and then she would come in all the time and talk about how she and her dad talk about Franck and how hilarious this movie is, and their wedding's going to be just like that. And she just quoted it all the time. So a part of me really despises this film, and I want to get over that because that's not fair to the film. But of course, and I haven't talked to this girl in like 25 years. So,
yeah. Oh my God, I've been a bridesmaid so many times, and I don't talk to those brides anymore.
It's ridiculous. It's such a scam. All those presents you got to buy, the showers. Ugh.
Adam, Adam, have you been in a lot of weddings?
Yeah, I've been in 2 that I can think of. Or no, shit. I've been in like 4 or 5. I forgot about that. Yeah. I was never the best man, and not that I'm keeping track of that, but I am. And the most I've been number 3 in the line, or like the second runner up. And I know that, like, this is TMI, but I definitely feel sad that I have like so many good friends, but I'm just like, I don't know if I'm anyone's best friend. And also,
Gotcha.
I don't know if I'm anyone's best man. Actually, I know for a fact I've never been anyone's best man. And that's like a big hole in my life.
Do you have a brother?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Because that's usually the
Yeah.
automatic. Yeah. So were you in Patrick's wedding? Patrick Bromley, host of F This Movie?
No, I didn't know him at the time.
Ah, okay.
So
Yeah.
being a best man or a maid of honor, it sucks anyway. It's a
Mhm.
lot of work.
It's a lot of work. And especially like, this is the beginning of like brides really being coddled and that being a thing. That was like, I think in a movie where like all of a sudden being the bride was like the most important thing in a woman's life. And maybe that's part of my last real job was at Modern Bride magazine. So I really hate weddings. I've had way too many of them in my life.
I love to go to weddings.
In the wedding itself, I like it. And in this movie, the actual wedding, I'm very happy. I don't know why. I really like weddings too. It's just everything around it makes me crazy.
Yeah. I
So
concur.
what would Modern Bride magazine think of $1,200 for a wedding cake?
Oh, that would be just about right. We were always pushing that stuff. Yeah.
Okay, for 91, or
yeah.
inflation nowadays.
Oh, I did the adjustment for inflation. He spent about $100K on that wedding.
That seems like so much money to me.
It's
That
so
is
much money.
not what
Isn't
we
it
spend.
Isn't it weird how in this movie we're supposed to sort of believe that they're kind of like they're upper middle class, but they're not rich.
Yeah.
But they're
Right.
totally rich.
That's
They can throw the money away and he works at I'm gonna get a little weird here, but then he works at he creates sneakers. He works at a sneaker warehouse, but it's not dirty at all. There's like 500 sneakers lying around. Like they're not made overseas like they are for every other brand.
I wrote
What
the
is this
same thing in
place
my
that he
notes.
works
I was
at?
like, look at his like well lit, properly ventilated factory where he
Yeah.
makes shoes.
Nobody's sweaty, Nobody's wearing like support hose or something. Like I've been to these places. I worked at a shoe store for Christ's sakes. Like I know what goes into this. I'm like, how do they? And then the wife, Diane Keaton. She supposedly has a job too, so that's why we think they can afford these things. But what does she do?
Do they ever say?
I don't think they do.
So
But they
yeah, I never picked that up.
but they also it is like watching it now, you're like, oh my God, rich white people problems.
Well, it's Nancy.
Right.
It's Nancy Shire. Is Nancy Myers?
Nancy
and
Myers. Yeah.
Charles Shire. Yeah, like that becomes a thing. They have like these homes with like really great kitchens that nobody can afford.
It's house porn. It's house porn.
House porn. This is the beginning of the house. I mean, it's very 1991 decorated. I wouldn't want that house.
Right.
But yeah.
That's
Was
my
this
favorite.
house
Go
porn-
ahead.
Was this house porn origins of the Nancy Myers? Was this like the original house
I
porn?
think it is. I'm gonna look.
It's definitely the wedding porn. I mean, just the fact that like they just throw money at everything, and there's very little limits to it. Like they had swans at this thing. Like, who's taking care of the swans? It's very. Should we say what this movie is about?
Oh yeah, I guess we could. Well, let me say this. I think this is the start of like house porn because we have Father of the Bride, and then they have Father of the Bride 2, and then she did What Women Want. Something's got to give, and It's Complicated. All of
Don't
those,
forget the intern. The intern is my jam.
which I know you love. I actually haven't seen it. Maybe we
It's
should.
cute.
Maybe we need to do a show on the intern.
It's cute.
Yeah,
So this is all house
it's
porn.
wonderful. Yeah.
Go ahead, Margo. You want to say what Father of the Bride's about, in case people haven't seen it?
So Steve Martin and Diane Keaton are married, and they have a daughter who's just graduated from college. She's 22. Her name's Annie, but she acts like she's 15. And they have a kid named Matty Banks, and his played by Kieran Culkin, and he plays like he's 20.
Yeah.
So Annie announces that she was overseas. She did a semester in Italy, or she spent the summer in Italy, but she meets a guy, and that she's in love. And not only is she in love, they're engaged and they're going to get married. And she squeals like a child, and he's a nice guy. George Newbern plays him, Brian McKenzie.
Yeah.
But it's weird that they do this without having met each other's parents first, and not meeting each other's families, right?
Yeah. It is weird, but I mean, maybe people do that. I don't know. And she's super young. And even for like 91, 22 is super young to get married.
I think so. And she just met the guy like a few months before. And this movie features 3 really long basketball sequences that I was just like rolling my eyes. It has a super on the nose soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's a lot of, here's the thing that drove me crazy. My co-host for Book versus Movie, who's also named Margo, she hates narration. Whenever there's narration in a movie, she goes nuts. This movie has so much useless narration by Steve Martin. Like he says things like, I'm really sad that my daughter's going to be leaving me. And then there's this whole montage of the girl when she's little, then when she's on a bike, and then when she's going to, it's like, it just like, they don't want you to think about anything. They're just going to tell you everything.
The narration, the voiceover is so weird because it's like a film noir.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, it was 2:50 in the afternoon and it was a beautiful fall day when blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh no, is there going to be a crime? What's going to happen?
I feel bad for Diane Keaton and Kieran Culkin because it's like everything's going on in Steve Martin's mind and his inner monologue, and they have no idea that he loves their daughter so much more than he loves his own wife and son.
Well, that was the thing. Like, and I sent you guys a text with some screenshots at the beginning when he's just talking about, like, oh my God, you have a daughter and she's sitting in your lap. And then she thinks you're awesome. I'm like, yes, you had a child and she grew up. Like, don't be a weirdo. Like, he's
such a weirdo.
He's such a weirdo.
Yeah, I just imagine like when they have their secret twin time outside playing basketball that he's like telling her about all the problems that he's having with his wife. And he's like, why can't my wife be more like my daughter?
Who has no problems. She's so easygoing. But at the same time, but he spends $50,000 on this wedding. And this is like from 25 years ago. So it's more like $100K. But they hire Martin Short, and I love Martin Short, but they really have him go to town on this. And it's a guy named Franck.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have B.D. Wong, who I mean, I think it's funny. His name's Howard Weinstein when, he's Asian, obviously. Mm-hmm. And then so they're the wedding planners, but what they call the wedding coordinators? Yeah. They didn't call them wedding planners.
Yeah, something like that.
Like that was and then Steve Martin's like, what's that? Like that was a thing that never existed before, but okay. And then the George Newbern, the guy she's going to marry, he has these parents that are super wealthy. And they seem like super nice people, but the father is like, Steve Martin is so hostile to everybody about this wedding and everything surrounding it.
That scene is so weird where they go to their house to like have this little brunch and get to know each other, and he goes to their bathroom.
It's like the only moment of slapstick in the entire movie.
Yeah, and he breaks a mirror in their bathroom or whatever, goes through their medicine cabinet, which is not cool, by the way. Don't do that to people. And then like proceeds to like rifle through their desk and look at their bank statements. And I'm like, that's not cool. You're acting like a psycho. And then eventually, he falls in the pool because of course he does. Once you see they have a pool, that's happening.
And then, he falls into the bank book. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I feel like that house, like every room has a bidet, even if it doesn't need it.
And the bathrooms have like little soap balls and a dish.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a nice thing. Yeah.
It's
like their dogs have a guest house.
Actually, the dogs use the bidets too.
And the guest house has extra room for the dog's friends for them to invite other dogs.
I want to see that movie.
Nice house. Yeah.
I want to see that movie so bad, where the other dogs come over and stay at their dog's house.
Yeah, more dogs, please. That's what this movie needed. So he meets them. They're super wealthy. They're very nice people. And then Steve Martin says he agrees that he'll pay for everything for the wedding, including 9 relatives from Denmark. Like he was going to pay for all. I mean, like what bullshit is that? Like, of course you don't expect him to pay for that, but he takes on all these crazy expenses. And then there's this one shot of Kimberly Williams holding a book or magazine that says how to have a cheap wedding, and then he's like, oh, I'm just going to give her everything. Like, wait, what? That's all it took? And then, so that's when they hire Franck, and that's when they have this $1,200 cake, which is you're right, it's a ridiculous price to pay.
I'm going to show her how awesome I am and buy her a dream wedding, and maybe she won't marry that guy.
Well, I'll have it in my house, which won't be annoying at all.
No.
And why, with the wedding coordinators and like a full staff, is he like roaming around his daughter's wedding and missing everything? I never got that.
How did he miss everything?
You would just
pictures.
Yes, you just stand next to your wife. That's all you have to do.
That's
just
your one job.
Yeah.
There's a daddy-daughter dance. There's always a father-daughter dance at these things. Like, he should be there, but they don't think about the parking on the street. And so all those cars are just blocked up everywhere. And then he puts the kids in charge of moving them, and that settles it. Like, there's shit that doesn't make sense here.
That part drives me crazy because right when he's like, well, where are we going to get 2 other drivers? And then they show the 2 kids and there's like an electric guitar thing. Like, things are going to get wild now.
And how pissed would you be if you were those guests? I don't want like a 10-year-old driving my car.
Or a neighbor. You imagine living in that goddamn neighborhood and there's like all these cars parked everywhere and all that stuff. I mean, and they're there all day. It looks like a really long event, but also it snows that morning, and it snows to a level that they need shovels, and they had shovels there in Southern California, but they're shoveling the sidewalks, and then there's no snow. There's like barely any. They get married. Then they come back to the house, and all of a sudden everything's icy, like in one patch. Yeah. Right.
Which, by the way, they live in San Marino. That's right outside Pasadena. It doesn't snow there. Not ever. Not ever. I mean, there's climate change. Maybe it'll snow there now. But back in 91, no, it did not snow there.
No, there was no climate change then, or it wasn't happening yet. So no, it's kind of ridiculous. And some of the songs were just so, oh God, the way you do the things you do. It's like a lot of Motown stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's that kind of movie. It's, My Girl. I love to, do the things you do. What's the other one? The Way You Look Tonight.
Yeah, that's the one I think of. Yeah.
All that stuff.
This movie seems like less wholesome to me after Steve Martin wrote and directed and starred in Shop Girl. And it's just like, oh, it's confirmed. He's super into the young ladies.
Mm-hmm. I think his wife is much younger than him, too.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a recurring thing. However, I will say, I sent out a tweet on this while I was watching the movie. I don't understand how Kimberly Williams never got a shot as a romantic comedy lead at some point. She's adorable in this movie.
Yeah,
everybody
great. Drinks. She's adorable.
She's adorable. She does a lot of those Hallmark holiday movies now. And I think because Lori Loughlin's going to jail, she's going to get all the parts now. She's got all those as well. But
she read the news and she's like, yes!
Fist pump. She did the Jonah Hill.
Everything's coming up Kimberly Williams.
Kimberly Williams Paisley, mind you.
Oh, yes, that's right.
But she is adorable, and she has great timing, and she has a really cute face and great smile. And but she's in the Hallmark movies now. She's doing fine.
It's Kimberly Williams Banks McKenzie. Come on.
She and George
Kimberly
Newberry
Williams
have done...
Banks McKenzie Paisley. Yeah.
I'm going to cough. No, she and George Newbern have been in some of those holiday movies at Hallmark. So
together?
Very exciting. Oh, yes.
No.
Unofficial sequels?
I'll send them to you. Yeah.
Send me the list.
Yeah, I'll get the list to you. But they've starred together in a few of them.
Are there bidets?
No, but they all take place supposedly in America, but you could tell they're filmed in Canada. And it's in the spring. And because you see flowers blooming and they throw some snow around. But it's one of those either she's a harried business executive.
Always.
Or she's a small town girl and he's the rich guy that comes into town, and then they dated in high school and they're meeting for the first time. One of those kind of things. She's always good at it.
That is so interesting that they did so many movies together. It's not like they have like William Powell, Myrna Loy chemistry, you know, like super amazing chemistry. Like,
No.
like he's nice enough, you know.
It's so
When
funny.
you find your North Star, you follow it.
Yeah. I love how he's, what is he called? An independent communications specialist? Is that what they said? Or
Yeah, like independent communications consultant. Yeah.
which is what I do with my life, by the way. And like they look at and they shit all over it in this movie. Like, ugh, what does that mean? I'm like, actually it means he makes a shitload of money because he knows computers. Nobody else does in 1991.
I got to agree with Adam on this. I think he wants to marry his own daughter.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's kind of gross. And then once you see it that way, you're like, oh, ew.
Mm-hmm.
Like the
I
whole.
like how they have. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like he talks a lot about like you worry about her going out with the wrong guys, but then you worry about her meeting the right guy because then you lose her. And I was like, what? Loser.
I like how they have the throwaway scene where Kieran Culkin is trying to get the wedding march down in the hallway, and it's just an excuse for Steve Martin to also shoehorn in. He's like, "Oh yeah, I do have a son who I should probably talk to."
Poor kid.
Yeah, no one cares about him. He just
No.
completely disappears. No. And
Although
Diane
that is
Keaton-
oddly freeing, probably for Maddie Banks, where he can be a man of his own making. It's like he's an orphan.
he's got a sweet deal for an orphan. It's a nice house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No bidets, but
Yeah.
Days, but
It's not
That's
that
the
nice.
yeah, it's not that nice.
but I think like Diane Keaton has really nothing to do here. She's great. I mean, but they give her so little to do. If you have Diane Keaton, why not give her like a few good scenes? Like, 'cause she's just sort of supporting him the whole time.
Yeah. Her big scene is going to the jail to bail him out after he's been arrested for
Oh,
stealing
for
hot dog
God's-
buns.
I mean,
I
and
like
what was
that scene
that
a
all
lot.
about?
Well, I do like that he tells everyone about how expensive the wedding is, and he's like, "No, I don't," and the cop's like, 150 a head or whatever it is. I forget. 250 a head. That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
250, which is ridiculous.
So she gets that nice little moment, but it's true she doesn't get much to do.
Mhm.
She's
Now
There
she-
was. Oh, sorry.
No, you go.
There's. I was on YouTube and I was looking up random Father of the Bride videos. When this movie came out, they had a sneak preview. Remember how like they used to always have like the Saturday night sneak preview,
Mhm.
and then you could stay for like the movie from the same studio that's already out
Right.
for free. All right, so they had one for Beauty and the Beast and Father of the Bride, and they're like RSVP 1 for Father of the Bride and stay and be our guest for Beauty and the Beast. And right when they said stay and be our guest, they showed the clip of Steve Martin and Kimberly Williams high-fiving each other on the basketball court. And I'm like, it's like they shot that scene just to put in this commercial.
They probably did. Do not underestimate Disney.
That's one hell of a double feature right there.
It really is.
Yeah.
And that one of them's really good and one of them isn't.
Why are you bagging on Beauty and the Beast?
Well, what do you like about this movie? Do you still like it? I mean, what are your feelings now that you've seen it? This is probably the first time in a long time, right? That
It
you've
has
seen
been. Yeah. It's been probably at least like 10 or 15 years. I don't know. I like Nancy Meyers' tone and vibe. I just enjoy that for some reason. I feel like and I mean this in a nice way, I feel like I'm watching a movie about my parents a
Yeah.
little bit because they're very much in the like let's renovate the kitchen type of like life, and then they'll tell you about the kitchen for an hour and a half, and that's
Yeah.
how I feel like this family is. So I feel seen in a way, like I'm the Maddie.
My
I
family
don't know,
is
but I do like Steve Martin. I think like he was definitely going through that period with as you said, with Parenthood and LA Story, where he kind of was trying something out. He was doing sort of a more kind of PG version of his act, and I think it's good. He's like really interesting and just kind of as the everyman, as opposed to just always being sort of like the goofy kind of character that you would only see in a movie. So I don't know. I think the movie's just kind of overall really sweet, even if it's a little kind of sketchy and weird.
Like I said, I love Steve Martin, and I think he is like someone I just love to watch, and I think he is very warm, and you feel for him. But I think he's kind of a miserable prick in this movie. Like he shits all over everything all the time. I'm like, I would not like to hang out with him. For sure. And my family's nothing like the movies of, the families we see in Nancy Meyer movies, but I find her movies very comfortable. They feel they feel very comfortable. I can't think of a better word than that.
Yeah, they're like crawling into like a Pottery Barn magazine.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
They're like I got for Christmas an UGG blanket. And it's just like the coziest thing in the world. And that's what her movies are like. It's like being wrapped up in an UGG blanket.
Not an UGG blanket, but like an UGG blanket.
But like
Got it.
UGG blanket. It's just got that, like, it's really soft and cozy. I just thought Steve Martin was really creepy in here too. And I think that it's diminishing returns with the Martin Short Frank character. All these years later, the accent and all that stuff, it was not as amusing to me as it was at one time.
I thought it was mean that he kept making fun of his accent.
Well, you can't understand a goddamn thing he's saying. I had the captions on. That's the only way I could understand him.
Well, Andy's not a very good wedding coordinator. He's got the father of the bride out there parking cars.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So that the wedding coordinator doesn't miss the cutting of the cake. No.
But the father should not. Yeah, I know they're not, or BD Wong. Like, what are they both doing?
Exactly. Also, the pink bridesmaids dresses are terrible.
I've worn worse.
I've definitely worn worse, but these are still terrible.
But we never meet any of them either.
Mm-mm.
No, they're just. But the wedding is very pretty. I mean, the wedding itself, I thought, was lovely in the church. I thought that was really lovely. But
I think it makes sense that we don't meet them because I don't think Steve Martin would have allowed his daughter to have friends.
You don't need them. You have me.
Yeah, let's just hang out and play basketball. Mm-hmm. I know it's 2 a.m. Let's just do it. It won't bother the neighbors. Thump, thump, thump. Stupid basketball at 2 a.m.
Let's bedazzle both of the binders.
So Adam, did you see the second one? I've never seen the second one.
I've seen it before. I tried rewatching it for this show, and I only made it about 30 minutes.
Oh my, same, exactly the same. Yep.
Yeah, the first one is like positively graceful compared to the leadenness of the second one. There was like that whole weird thing in like 1995 with like Father of the Bride 2 and 9 Months, where like every movie, like I think even like Waterworld and Crimson Tide, where every movie ended with like 2 women giving birth.
At the same time?
Yeah, at the same time.
It's just like another movie where I think he's just a miserable prick. Like, his daughter lives 1 mile away from them. 1 mile, and he's bitching. Like, it's so far.
Yeah. There's one line in the movie that I found really funny in the second one, where they're at the table and they're so... Like, I don't get the whole thing with the need to hyphenate the last name. Mm-hmm. Like, to me, I don't know if it's like a Midwestern thing or what, but... If you get married, the woman takes her husband's name. That's almost always how it goes. There's like no hyphenate really. So I get it. Okay, in this movie, there's a hyphenate, but then like they're deciding on the last name of the kid because the kid can't have a hyphenate. So they're going for some kind of anagram of both of their names. And then one of the, and then so they come up with like Zisman and Zankman, and then Steve Martin's just like, I might have a granddaughter named Sophie Zankman. I thought that was really funny.
And it, by the way, you can totally hyphenate your kids' names, and that's it's a silly scene. It's just like it's a weird thing for them to argue about when she's not very far along, for one thing. And the whole time, though, I'm just like, I can't believe he sold that house without telling his wife. That's all I could think about the whole time. Because that's the whole thing. He sells the house without telling his wife.
But he sells it to Eugene Levy?
Yeah.
Is that who it is? And he's playing
a terrorist True Lies.
Yeah.
That's how it's
Terrorist from True Lies. It's
like,
so awful.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they didn't ask anyone not white if this was okay.
Yeah. It's so weird.
It's so bizarre. Because there's a clip of it I sent you guys on YouTube, because I didn't see this movie, and it's him and his wife, and he says to Steve Martin, you need to leave in a week or 10 days, I'll have the house. And then his wife starts to talk to him, and he basically tells her to shut up. Basically, like he snaps at her. And then this couple was filming this on YouTube, and they're cracking the fuck up. And I'm like, what is so funny about this? I don't understand it. So, of course, I did the thing you shouldn't do. I read the comments. And the person who put the video said, oh, well, we were in a movie theater watching this, and there were a lot of Muslim people in the town at the time, and they were in the theater too. It was so funny because all the white people were laughing and the Muslim people weren't laughing. I'm like, do you know why? Like,
because
it was
Yeah.
Racist. It's racist as shit. Like, I was like, and what is this? So Diane Keaton is pregnant too?
Yes.
Yeah. That happens. If you sleep with Steve Martin with brown hair, you get pregnant. That's how that works.
They're both like 50 years old, I think.
I mean, easily.
Yeah.
Easily. Yeah.
I mean, it could happen. It's not unheard of, I guess, but it's pretty rare, and it could be pretty serious. Actually, I don't recall if the movie deals with it in a serious way. I assume because it's Father of the Bride 2, they don't.
No, they actually do. There's
they?
like
a
second beat where like, oh no, she might not live or something like that. Yeah, it's weird. Comes out like out of nowhere.
That's super weird. That's like
but I like these movies. I don't know why.
It's like I haven't seen it in so long, but I remember She's Having a Baby. Do you remember that movie with Kevin
Elizabeth
Bacon?
McGovern?
Yeah. And it's supposed to be like a comedy, and then she goes to give birth and like something goes wrong, and it's very serious. Like she may not make it, or the baby may not make it or something. And I'm like, what's happening in this movie? That movie is
bizarre.
It is so bizarre. Let's put it on the list.
We said Alec Baldwin plays like a loser friend that tries to talk his friend out of his marriage.
Oh,
and his wife is like, remember that? And then like his wife is pregnant, and he brings over his trashy girlfriend, and it's a lot of weird tones in that movie. Like Kevin Bacon is basically like wants out of that marriage, and Elizabeth McGovern's holding him back. And the only reason he turns around is because she almost dies.
Good Lord.
He cries, and then all of a sudden he realizes he should be.
And it's a John Hughes movie, right?
Oh yeah, John Hughes has very strange catalog. I mean, there's really great stuff, and there's really like wild stuff in there.
I haven't seen it in so long. I know we also talked about For Keeps, the one where Molly Ringwald's teenager character gets pregnant.
Oh my God. That movie's insane too.
That's not John Hughes though.
No.
What else do we want to say about Father of the Bride? I almost said The Wedding Planner. That's a whole other thing.
That's another movie, yeah.
Is that good?
No.
I almost watched it once.
That should go on the poster. I almost watched it once. Adam Riske F this movie.
It was on WGN TV at like 1 a.m, and I'm like, well, I'm up. And then I made it like through the opening credits, and I couldn't understand, like, was she hiring like some gigolo to like pretend that that was her date for a wedding because she couldn't get a date?
That's a
yeah.
wait.
Yeah.
So The wedding, I'm thinking of The Wedding Planners, the one with J-Lo and Matthew McConaughey, right?
Oh, I'm thinking of The Wedding Date.
The Wedding Date. That's the one with Deborah Messing, right?
Yes.
Oh my God.
There's so many.
There's so many. No, I'm thinking of the J-Lo movie too.
Okay.
Because that's where she's a wedding planner and then she falls in love with her client, which is actually a really cute premise. I mean, isn't terrible.
Isn't Judy Greer in that one?
Isn't she in everything? Like for the last 10 years?
That was my point. She was like the sidekick in like every romantic comedy for about 10 years, and she was always the best part of them.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. We would just talked about 13 going on 30, and she was in that.
Yeah, she's solid. Except wasn't she like the bad guy in that one?
Yeah, she was kind of a bad guy. That is true.
I don't believe it. She seems like so sweet and nice.
I'm not buying it.
I love her in Adaptation, where she's the waitress that waits on Nicolas Cage's character, and she's being like super nice to him, and then he asks her out, and then all of a sudden she's just super uncomfortable. And do you guys have ever seen this movie?
I have.
Do you remember this?
I saw it, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, she's really good. She's always solid.
Okay, whenever there's a movie that I watch where it's like there's weddings or it's like centered on a relationship, I always want to ask people if you think that the couple is still together.
Okay, I do this to Margo
does
all
Sonia.
the time.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Kimberly Williams and George Newbern.
I think they are.
I think so too.
I think there's a lot there. I think that I truly believe they genuinely love each other and they're cute together.
I feel like they are because she doesn't know any better and he's holding on for dear life.
Look, she's got some great in-laws going for her there, right? I mean, she got some of the nice card for the wedding. Like, their kid's going to be fine. Like, she wasn't stupid. She picked well.
And if he doesn't treat her right, she's going to leave him for her dad.
Yes. And that sweet shoe business that he has.
So gross.
Sneaker business.
So gross.
What about Steve Martin and Diane Keaton? Did they stay together?
God,
I think she finds the shrine and then she leaves him.
I think she also leaves him once he retires because he drives her nuts. That's what I think.
How old is their kid? Their kid's going to be like 24, 25 now, I guess, right?
Yeah, so
if we're thinking real time.
95, 96, something like that. Yeah, so it's a new, I can't remember if it's a daughter or a son that they have.
I think they have another daughter.
Then, like, luckily that daughter has, like, an older sister to, like, be a shoulder to cry on throughout the story.
Dad made me take him to prom.
Daddy follows me everywhere. It's really weird.
Daddy only wants me to wear clothes from 1991.
Daddy won't let me have friends. Is that weird?
Daddy still keeps that teddy bear in my room with the camera in it. I still have a baby monitor in my room.
We're playing basketball at all hours. It's really strange. I'm tired.
She like runs away to the Mackenzies all the time and pretends that's her real parents. And they're just like, come on in, you can stay in the doghouse.
With the bidet.
With the bidet, yeah.
My dad is not like a Steve Martin dad, and so I think when I first saw this movie, I would have been 20 years old. I was probably like, oh, that's just a dad who's like super doting or whatever. But now watching it, I'm like, oh no, he's just kind of creepy.
Yeah, I feel bad with the creepiness. I'm glad that you both agree because it's something that I always thought only I felt, and I was overreacting because I don't have a daughter myself. And now I'm just like, no, this, like, I have like a sixth sense about this, like back since 1991, like something's off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. If I acted that way towards my son, people would talk. Just saying.
I thought of a good name for a bidet store.
Tell me.
That?
That'll be bidet.
that name would work on me. I would go buy one.
I would have to, because that's too clever.
Right?
Yeah.
I would just want the shopping bag, actually, with the logo and stuff.
Bidets are pretty dope, though, if you've ever used one.
I would just
go.
Oh,
I'm not knocking the function.
Yeah.
They're fine.
Actually, I would just go in the store and buy the cheapest thing they have just so I could get a bag. Do we want to hear what are the top 10 movies of 91?
Sure.
Oh my God, I can't wait.
Okay, are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. Actually, I'll start with number 10. City Slickers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good one. Number 9,
Yeah.
Hot Shots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 8, Cape Fear.
I tried watching that. Like, it was on Netflix. It's not good, especially when you're expecting like, oh, this is Martin Scorsese, and then you watch it and you're like, did he really make this?
He's made some shitty ones, yeah.
Yeah.
Number 7 is The Addams Family.
I like the Addams Family.
I like The Addams Family too. Every year,
I
my
like
husband and I say we're going to dress up as the Addams Family, and we never do.
Do you like the original or the sequel more?
The sequel's funnier, and that's
Yes.
because Paul Rudnick wrote it. It's got some really great lines, but the first one's fun too because Christina Ricci, I think, steals the movie. I think she's so cute. Yeah.
I love Raul Julia.
Oh,
I love
R.I.P.
him as Gomez.
He was perfect.
And
That's
and the
one of-
second one has Joan Cusack, and come on, everything's
Yeah.
better with Joan Cusack.
The first Addams Family is one of those movies like the original Batman where it's like it's willed to 3 stars just based off of like the production and the art direction.
Right.
Thing,
Right.
Where like almost everything else doesn't even matter. Like it's just so impressive visually.
You knock points because of the MC Hammer remake of the Addams Family. Remember that?
So the Addams Family played at the movie theater I worked at, and I had to listen to that song like 5 times a day for months.
I think I like that song a lot more than the two of you.
Well,
you're younger.
no, I like
I'm
MC
going to,
Hammer.
This summer, I'm going to an MC Hammer concert where he's playing with It's MC Hammer, Kid and Play, Sir Mix-a-Lot, and 2 Live Crew.
Okay,
Oh, I'm jealous.
I am legit.
called-
I am legit jealous, actually.
It's called Hammer's House Party. They're touring all over, so they might be coming to your neck of the woods.
I'm looking that up because I would love to go to that. I saw Hammer. He came here. It's so weird. He played a festival here in San Francisco called Hardly Strictly Bluegrass. He's not remotely bluegrass. I don't know why Hammer was playing this, but I went to see him, and he was awesome, and he sang the song from Addams Family, which I thought was hilarious that he would do that. And all the kids lost their minds. They were like, it's the Addams Family song!
Do you remember the song that they had in Addams Family Values? It was a tag team, and they did Whoop, There It Is, but it was Whoop, the Addams Family, there it is.
No, I don't.
Talk about, that's a
And
serious
I remember
one-hit
Tag
wonder.
Team.
Yeah.
When they
Tag
just
Team, back again.
They just take the same song and change like the words. Damn.
They're like, "Ooh, indecent proposal, there it is."
Oh my gosh. Now I'm going to look up that Hammer House Party because I want to see all of those.
Do you have more movies?
Yeah, I do. No, I'll keep going. Sorry, I got sidetracked by Hammer. I got excited. Number 6 is JFK. I think that's one of
I love
Adam's
JFK.
favorites. Number 5, one of my favorites, Silence of the Lambs.
Yep.
Number 4 is
Yep.
Hook.
Nope.
I've grown to like it.
I haven't. Number 3, Beauty and the Beast. Which,
Yeah.
Good.
Number 2, Prince of Thieves.
Yeah.
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 And number 1 is Terminator 2.
I
Classic.
forgot about Prince of Thieves for a second there. We covered that.
Yes, we did.
Robin Hood.
Yes, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
So do you guys want to hear the top songs from 1991 around this time?
Is it the Addams Family song by MC Hammer?
There's no MC Hammer here.
Damn
okay?
it!
I'm sorry.
Okay.
But we'll start with Paul Abdul,
Mm.
Promise of a New Day,
That is a good song.
That's a great song, and I love that video. Color Me Bad. I adore Mi Amor.
I thought you were going to say, I want to sex you up.
Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, Good Vibrations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mariah Carey, Emotions.
Good.
I was super into Mariah Carey back in the day, for sure.
Me too. Prince and the New Power Generation, Cream.
Yep.
This was my mother's favorite. Michael Bolton, When a Man Loves a Woman. My God. She drove my father crazy with Michael Bolton at this time. Like she played it all the time. They would have fights.
So once again, here, another movie theater story. So one of the auditoriums had separate CD players for each auditorium, and one of them had like a Michael Bolton CD in it and had like that song, and I think, Soul Survivor and all that. What's that other one that I forget? Yeah. Anyway, so I used to sing the songs all the time as a joke. My best friend and I would sing them all the time as a joke, and her mom thought we super loved Michael Bolton, and so she bought us concert tickets to see Michael Bolton and Kenny G.
That is as 90s as it gets.
Yeah, and then we had to go and like pretend that like we were really excited to be there, and then I fell asleep during Kenny G.
How is that possible?
Like we were sitting on the like grass seats or whatever, and I fell asleep.
So, okay, so after that, I love this song. It's PM Dawn, Set Adrift on Memory Bliss.
That's a good song.
Amazing song. And then we finish out a little weird. It's Michael Jackson, Black or White.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't reconcile that right now.
I can't either. Same.
Yeah. But that's our 91 hits.
Music was good then.
It was
because you had like heavy metal on its way out, grunge rising, pop music was awesome. Like it had everything. Rap, it was everything.
Yeah, rap and hip hop was so catchy and awesome and on every station. And
yep.
I was into it. All right. Adam, I'm like, now, well, here's the thing. So you mentioned that song Set Adrift on Memory Bliss, and then it just reminded me of that documentary, the fake documentary, I should say, Fear of the Black Hat.
Yes.
And there's like a fake song, a parody of that song about like, I'm only human, that one. And I just went down a little rabbit hole in my head. Sorry, everybody. Adam, where could people find you on the internet?
I am on Twitter at, hold on, what is my Twitter handle? It's at Adam, it's at Riske Adam. And so definitely follow me there. And then I write and do podcasts at F This Movie, which is fthismovie.net.
And where can people find you, Margo?
My social media channels are at Brooklyn Fit Chick, and I'm mostly active on Twitter and Instagram. And my blog is brooklynfitchick.com.
And you can find me at The Sonia Show and thesoniashow.com. And you can find Dorking Out at dorkingout.com and Dorking Out Show on Twitter and Facebook. Adam, thank you so much for coming on to talk about Father of the Bride with us.
Yeah, anytime. Oddly enough, I had more fun talking about everything else other than Father of the Bride.
That's often happens with us.
It does.
Yeah.
It's true. We get sidetracked sometimes. But this was super
I don't know.
fun.
It's like Father of the Bride is like this thing that's hermetically sealed that you're not supposed to comment or think about.